This is the Soul-Filled Sisterhood podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist and an empowerment coach for women. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now here is today's episode. Episode 107. Well, before I dive into my episode today with my guest speaker, if you struggle with perfectionism or even some people-pleasing behaviors, and you really want to get curious about how that really kind of impacts your life, what are some of the signs that perfectionism may be holding you back in your business or your relationships, head over to NicoleBurgessCoaching.com/perfectionist and get your 10 signs you might be a perfectionist today. Now, here is today's episode. Well, welcome, sisters. I'm so excited about this next guest. Today, I have Magdalene Meliana, and she is a holistic psychotherapist, a woman's empowerment and spiritual teacher, a speaker, and she is a channel. She mentors women to heal from trauma, detox from patriarchy, and claim their truth, power, heart, and purpose. She is the founder of Temple of Sound Healing, and Magdalene also teaches health, wellness practitioners, and social justice community leaders the science and practice of sound healing for their clients and communities. Magdalene is a woman of color immigrant from India with her own story of healing and empowerment. She shares it in her memoir, Brown Skin Girl, an Indian American woman's magical journey from broken to beautiful. And today we're going to talk more about the sound healing that she does. But before we dive into this, Magdalene, would you please talk a little bit more about what led you to this type of work?
Oh, that's such a great question. And first of all, it's so wonderful to be here with you.
I'm so excited about this conversation. So thank you for being on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think even becoming a psychotherapist was the end product of my search for my own personal healing. And I was a psychotherapist that had just been licensed as a psychotherapist, and I got Lyme disease, really, really bad symptoms, like out of the blue. And it wasn't the bullseye rash. It was something far worse. And I tried everything holistic. And I also did some inner work on myself. And I came to the realization that Lyme wasn't just about Lyme. It was about my not being in my power as a woman. So I embarked on all kinds of healing, and I went to Brazil for some spiritual healing. And there, my intuition opened up, and there in Brazil, it's very common for spirits to be part of the healing process. And I received this guidance that over and over again, the sound healing was my thing. And that apparently I'd done it in many past lives.
You're like, oh, well, thank you for that.
And I didn't know where to begin. It seemed so foreign a concept to me. It's like, how can sound possibly heal? Right? I mean, I'm a musician, I'm a pianist, and I love music. And I've just been licensed as a psychotherapist, but how does it heal? So I had no clue where to start. So I just kept getting more and more guidance. And this is me. I'm just intuitive. I'm tapped in. And I got that I should just buy a crystal singing bowl and just start. So I started practicing on myself. And every morning I would play it for, 5 to 10 minutes. And the experience and the impact it had on me was so profound that I knew that there was something here that was so extraordinarily powerful that I didn't even have words for. And so I started bringing it into my client work sessions. I would just say, let's do 2 minutes of this and 3 minutes of this. And people loved it. I didn't have to talk them into anything. First of all, they're so curious about something so beautiful. And then sound, we all respond to sound, just like we all respond to the ocean or to nature. And, people with, whether it was depression or trauma or anxiety, I always had the same reaction of people, I could see their nervous systems relaxing, settling back into the couch, closing their eyes, and their whole body just exhaling, not just their breath, but I could literally feel the exhale emanate from them. And so I started using it more and more. I started reading up about it, and, the science fascinated because I wanted to know how. I'm all about magic, but how was also, my mind was very curious. So I read a lot about it, and then eventually I took a course, a training in sound healing. And, there it was wonderful to meet other people because I felt so alone in this little magical office for myself. And it was so great to meet other people also on the same journey and, being said that, no, this is really true, and learning the physics about it. So, and since then it's sort of moved me forward. It's been this work that I haven't had to think like, okay, what do I do next? But I feel like it's guiding me from within. So that's how I found sound healing.
Yeah. And I think I paused for a second because I'm just like, before I hit record, I was talking to her about when I was back in grad school, there's a store called East Meets West, and she reminded me of the name of it. But I remember hearing these crystal bowls in there and like kind of playing around with them and then having some other people playing it. So tell me a little bit more, like because again, like you, I get curious on the how as well. And if I remember correctly, there's different sizes of these crystal bowls. So kind of how does the sound from those bowls, how does it really help people, like you said, their nervous systems relax? Is there,
right?
Yeah, what's it do?
Yeah. So first of all, just to even backtrack a bit, sound healing is more than the bowls.
Yes.
Like I use, and first of all, sound healing has been used by ancient traditions, ancient cultures, indigenous traditions throughout time. That was the primary way how people healed, along with crystals and movement. And they were very, very sophisticated in these practices. And because there aren't any books, right, from those times, we tend to dismiss and ignore them. So I think we're just on the forefront of discovering how powerful this modality is. So although bowls are sort of commonly known as the tool, people use drums, bells, chimes. I play the piano. I have an Indian instrument. And any instrument, your voice is also an instrument for sound healing. So that's just to give a little bit of perspective.
Well, and I'm going to pause you for a second on that too. And I appreciate you saying that because I know I've heard I've talked with people before about like music therapy and they use different types of instruments. So yes, I like how you said it really goes back many, many, many years, decades, centuries of where this really stemmed from. And yeah, we've got maybe different instruments now, but there's so much to sound itself and it comes in various forms. So thank you.
Where this is a lovely connection because this is the place where spirituality meets science. And that's what is so exciting. All ancient traditions and religions say the origins of the universe start with sound. In Christianity, you have, in the beginning was the word. And, it's how do you interpret that? The word is a sound. In Hinduism, Om, a vibration emerges from the void as creation. And across every religion, if you go back in the texts, this is the origin of not just our world, but the universe. And they even go back to say is that we are made of sound, that our whole bodies hear sound. It's not just our ears, right? That's why when we go out in nature, we feel the difference.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just hear the sounds, we feel on many levels the difference. And sound is that. So we're working with the universal law of vibration. And that's, you can say that's more of a spiritual law. And where it meets science is in physics and quantum physics. And this is what's interesting, because currently healing is known and treated in the realm of biology and chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
That's how healing is understood by most people. But with sound, it takes it in, it is very much in science with physics, which is new. This has not been integrated into current healing.
Mm-hmm.
So in science, there is no such thing as matter. Everything is a wave and a particle,
Mm-hmm.
which is everything is a vibration, which matches the spiritual law of vibration. And because there is no matter, right? We're not dealing with chemicals. We're not dealing with protons. We're not dealing with amino acids. We're dealing on a more subtle level. We and the universe are organized in different levels of subtlety,
Mm-hmm.
from subtlety to density. So, for example, the earth is the most dense. So our bodies are dense, right? But our minds, our thoughts, there's no substance to them, right? There's no matter to them. But that doesn't mean they're not real. And in the same way, sound is a vibration, which is also energy. So it affects us. We are energy. And because we are vibration, we can change with sound in an instant.
Yeah. And so you're talking about whether you're using crystal bowls, whether you're using the piano, whether you're using your voice, that vibration. As you're saying this, I'm like, man, I've done various things where I can feel it in different parts of my body. I call that like the embodied place. And how that can really shift your energy, how that can really truly raise your vibration. And that's what you're talking about, right, is all that through that right, internal process, which again does reverberate out into the universe because it gets reverberated back to us as well.
Right. And the crystal bowls are very, very powerful because they combine the absolute incredible nature of crystals with sound. So with crystal bowls, you're getting a 2-in-1. You're getting
That's what I was going to say. Bonus.
You're getting crystalline infused sound, so to speak, which is just amazing. Mm-hmm. And our bodies are mostly water, which is crystal, a lot of crystals. And we're ultimately crystal. Even in our bones, we have crystals. So we respond to it. And how that works with the crystal bowls, it returns our bodies to our state of natural, what I call natural perfection or homeostasis and alignment. So as human beings on this planet at this time, we're, pulled and yanked in all kinds of different directions and ways, right? Mm-hmm. There's so much chaos. There's emotional turbulence, the situation we're in right now. Mm-hmm. Past generations, we have experienced a lot. So if you think of ourselves as a musical instrument, it's as though we're a musical instrument who's gone out of tune.
It's a beautiful image. Yeah. And it's about really just tuning that back up, the healing part That's of right. it, moving through that.
It's within us.
Yeah.
Right. It's within us. We just have to be retuned.
So, Maitreyi, share a little bit about how then this work can really help, because that's what you do this work with people, but also organizations and the leaders within those organizations of helping women and men move through those past woundings, those past hurt. Mm-hmm. How does that really do that for them? Like, can you give us some sort of, I guess, I would almost say like a practical answer, but something that can ground my listeners into like visualizing what that would kind of look like how that could happen.
Sure. So for example, let's say, a person is depressed or anxious, or scattered, right? Or has fear. I mean, these are all the different things that people come in, or is always in their mind and doesn't know how to find what's right. What is the next decision that's right for me, and not that's because I'm doing it because somebody else is doing it.
Yep.
All the ways that we get tangled up. So what initially there would be, if it's a one-on-one, there's a difference. There's a one-on-one treatment, or you can have a sound bath. With a one-on-one treatment, it's much like any other integrative practitioner, where the person comes in and there's an intake, and then they lie down for the treatment. And the treatment is, bowls are played for the person, and the person usually will always have a very, very deeply relaxing experience. That has been across the board. And when not only our bodies, but our minds relax, because we're carrying so much, we let go. Sound enables people to just let go. There's an instant safety, there's an instant trust, there's an instant sense of knowing or not being other than, just like when we walk into nature.
Yeah.
And their bodies relax. And that is so fabulous for physical healing.
Yeah, for sure. And because I interrupted you there, but it's like that sense of, like you said, when you walk into nature and you get into that, you're one with. And it's the same thing then with the sound. You become one. Yeah.
Right. And the sound moves, the sound waves, moves through the body, calms the mind, and leads and actually detoxes, the chatter, and even the intense emotions can be moved through. It's not to say that it's going to remove memories, or but if there's, let's say, grief or sadness or anger, whatever, or anxiety, it moves that energy through and out the energy body. So what happens when that's moved out is as though a fan is blowing all this through and out the person. So then what happens when that dust is removed, the person can connect with the clean, clear water. That's really who they are.
Yeah. And there's the clarity, because like you're saying,
there's a clarity.
Yeah, it's not all murky and cloudy anymore, or you're in that place of stuckness. It's like, yeah, I love that vision, like a fan moving through.
There's still, there's peace and balance and harmony.
If somebody is doing like an individual session with you, how many sessions does it typically take? Is it, I know personally, I think I could have like one of those little beauties and be able to like, okay, I'm all good. Like you're floating on a cloud type of thing. If somebody's really feeling stuck or anxious, we were kind of hinting around a little bit earlier about, they're trying to gain some clarity, but again, they've listened to, or they've been smooshed down by the, patriarchy, or they've been smushed down by here's what you have to do type of thing. How many sessions do they typically go to before they can really start to feel some movement if they're really stuck or wounded?
Yeah. So that's been one of the things that's been so amazing for me. I've actually closed my therapy practice because people were shifting so fast. Things as a therapist, I was just trained to understand that, okay, people might come for 1, 2, 5, even more years, right? That was sort of the scale. And even 10 was not sort of outlandish.
Right.
But, I've worked with people with trauma, and something that would have taken 5 to 6 years, I've had people walking out in 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's not just clearing the trauma, but it's aligning them with their purpose, with joy, with confidence, with knowing who they are so they can take the next steps in their life.
Yeah, because part of what we're talking about too, it's not just all of the logical stuff, the in the head stuff, clearing those past traumatic, moments. This is that very felt sense, moving the energy like you're talking about through sound that does the cleansing and the healing that way as well. And it just can really shift quickly.
Right. And it's a mind, body, spirit. So it works on every level.
Yeah. And I love the integrated practice. Mm-hmm. So then I know you also, from your website and everything, you also do some online like group stuff too for women. When you're working then with more of the what do I want to say, social justice community leaders, are you then training them in how this works too, so they can incorporate that into their kind of business and to, again, spread the word more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Because so I train people who are going to work with others. Mm-hmm. I mean, I also work with people who want to use it for themselves, but I train practitioners and social justice community organizers so that because they really can connect with their communities far better than I can. And, but I teach them the science and the practice of sound. And it's not only with the bowls, but that's with different instruments as well as the voice. And that brings me to the voice. Our voices are so extraordinarily powerful. And for women across the planet, they have been silenced. Mm-hmm. And I and the women I've worked with have been just constantly amazed by what happens when they allow their voices. And this is not singing. Mm-hmm. This is not singing. This is sound. And because they're working with their own body. Their voice is their body. Mm-hmm. And for each person, that is their most perfect instrument. And women find their power. They find who they are. They find courage. They can release the past. So it's a beautiful process. And I work, primarily with people who want to help their communities heal from trauma. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fun ways to do this, and as well as deep ways. And so it's been a wonderful journey and an honor to be able to offer that.
Well, and I think what you're talking about too, so many of the women that I've interviewed on my podcast, they really are, they're change makers. They want to go out and make a big difference in the world. And so what you're talking about, you've done one-on-one, you still do some of that, but what you're tapping into is, as you are a leader, you're scaling in a lot of ways where you're tapping into these organizations, these other leaders themselves, and that gets it out there even more so you can actually impact more people, which is a beautiful thing, which again, we all know creates that ripple effect in our world for the healing and for shifting and awakening. And I think that's an incredible thing. So I'm curious, let's back up just a moment. How then can women who are listening to this now, let's say they don't have one of those crystal bowls or they've not done anything regarding kind of sound healing, but they can start with their voice. What would be something they could do even today that would help them really start to incorporate the sound of their own voice in their own self-care or their own spiritual practice? What would be something that you could share with them that they could start?
So something very simple they could do is just to hum, to sing, maybe sing along with their favorite songs, or chant. Mm-hmm. Those are very simple things that they can do. There's lots of YouTube videos and, radio apps that everything's available. Right. Music is available to us all. Right. So just the simple act of humming, singing, making it conscious. And, we can hum and sing doing other things, when we're doing just ordinary things around the house. Right. It doesn't have to be, a whole meditative thing. just that, it activates the whole fifth chakra, which is the whole voice, and opens that up and gets it moving, energizes it. And chanting is very, very powerful. So those are some things they can do. And I also would encourage them to check out online sound baths.
Yeah. And ladies, don't worry. I'm going to have all of Maitreyi's information. She's got 2 different websites. I'm going to have those in the show notes as well. So don't worry about that. But I just love how there's some just truly practical things. Like you said, the work that you do with women, it is about finding their voice again. And when they find their voice, they step more into their power. And they begin to set better boundaries. They begin to speak up more. They begin to share their ideas. They begin to implement things that make changes in their family, in their community, in their businesses. And it's a beautiful thing to watch a woman really step back into her own power.
Yeah, it is.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm gonna pivot just a teeny bit here, and I'm curious for you, who has been maybe somebody who has inspired you, whether it's been somebody more recent or somebody in the past, who has helped inspire you to keep doing what you're doing and really just step into more of who you are? Because I know you've overcome quite a bit in your life.
Well, I'd have to go back to my college piano teacher. Yeah, I think for me, that was profound. He was very, very inspiring to work with a true musician and enter the world of music, which is so profound, so different from words. And the idea that I could have a career doing music, although I'm not, a classical pianist,
right.
But I think it opened me, if music were a portal, I think studying with him opened me to that.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. That really started you on your path to also lead you to where you are today, which is also healing and helping others. So I just love that. What are some of your own self-care practices then? Like, do you incorporate, again, like the piano, your own voice, the crystal bowls? What do you do that really helps you stay grounded and practice your stress relief and things like that?
Right. So my body is really important. So with yoga, exercise, dance, those are just normal parts of my life. And then, of course, sound. I channel on the piano, and so that's something I will often sit down to do, or play the bowls. They're just a wonderful way to transition from doing one thing into the next. They clear me, and then they center me and ground me, and then I'm fresh and energized for the next thing I want to take on.
Beautiful. All right. And then I'm really going to pivot on this, so hang on. we chatted just a little bit at the beginning, and I know this is not what the main part of the podcast is about, but share a little bit with my listeners of maybe how and when you really started to channel. I know you were talking about like the divine feminine, but you actually channel Mary Magdalene. So share a little bit about how that really started, or when you first really kind of woke up to this.
Yeah. So from what I learned, it's both Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene.
Okay.
This all started when I think when I went to Brazil, to that healing center. And I'm not Christian, I'm not Catholic. I grew up in India, so I'm Hindu. And so, throughout my life, there have been moments and periods in my life where I've received visions and heard voices and received guidance from spirits and nature spirits. So I'm very familiar with that. But going to Brazil opened me up in an extraordinary way. And it's so hard to explain. First of all, the incredible love that was showered upon me for myself, for my own healing, for my own journey as a woman. And it's been a 10-year journeying with her, with Mother Mary primarily, in terms of she comes in my meditation, I feel her. And I think somewhere along the way, she told me that I needed to channel her. And I fought that for a long time because I was very skeptical. I didn't want to be weird.
I say embrace the weirdness because that's what makes the world go around.
Right. And so I started doing it very privately. I didn't tell anybody. And then slowly I told my best friend. So, and then she's a channel too. So it was a wonderful way to have a very safe place where I could share what was coming through. Mm-hmm. And then gradually that's opened up where now I am comfortable talking about both of them and the other beings who come through me. Because really I'm a channel for others as well. And that they're very much a part of the work. And I think this is what we're on the threshold of again as humanity, this reintegration with spirit, which has been lost. And I discovered that in Brazil, but they work so closely with spirit to heal physically and mentally. And it's just tremendously exciting. And the power and what comes through and what's possible for all of us. It's as though we've been sitting in a pot with the lid over our heads, and now the lid's being lifted off, and we have no idea how much beauty and possibility in all that we are, and how spirit can help us and wants to help and guide us, and that it's not religious. It doesn't have to be religious, but that we all can connect.
Yeah. I often say, on the show that whether you want to say God, the divine, universe, spirit, whatever that word is for you, that is it. It's like that's to me, it's the connection at that soul level, right? It's like our bodies are like this vessel, and that's really it. But what we're talking about, you are so connected at that level that, Mother Mary or Magdalene comes through you, and other spirits do too. And that it gets incorporated into a lot of the work that you do. And how beautiful. And I love how, I had forgotten about how Brazil really is such a spiritual place, and that they incorporate that into like just a normal daily living. And I know there's other cultures that can do something very similar, and we just don't necessarily do that so much here in the U.S. And that this is what, you're incorporating that into your work as well, and helping women, again, find their voice in that and step into that and embrace their weirdness, and it's all okay.
Yes, it is.
Oh, what a beautiful journey. And really allowing yourself to step into your own powers that have been really part of your gifts, like given to you, and being able to share that with others. I just love that.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's been just such a joy to speak with you because you get it.
Yeah.
And I love that we can share that.
Well, and ladies, again, I'm going to have Maitreyi's information, both of her website, on the show notes, along with her social media. She's on Facebook and Instagram, again, under the two different kind of names. And so I'll have that out there. But on her website, you can also get her free PDF on the 7 steps to speak your truth. So I'm going to encourage you to go out, check out our websites, her information. So maybe you want to tap into some of these sound healing options that you have and go from there. So again, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Wondering if perfectionism is holding you back in your business or life, or just maybe it's impacting all of your relationships? Well, head over to NicoleBurgessCoaching.com/perfectionist and receive your 10 signs you might be a perfectionist today. Till then, take care.